Three.
Okay.
And hi, Evelyn. Thank you for joining
Hi.
us today. Pleasure to
Thank
talk with you.
thank you for having me.
Where are you now, Evelyn?
I'm in New York,
Beautiful. Good old New York City.
New York
Um,
City. Yeah.
so, first of all, thank you for joining us. I want to tell you briefly this is a project of compiling the experiences of teachers that are currently teaching the Awaken, the ATIH,
Mm-hmm.
right? Awaken,
Correct.
can you help me? Awaken.
Awakening the illuminated heart.
I couldn't find the T. I was like, the T stands for what?
Awakening the illuminated heart. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a course that was originally taught by Drunvalo Melchizedeck back in what, a decade ago.
2011. Yeah, more or less. Even
Yeah,
before that, a little bit of that.
and I know that this course has touched thousands of people. There are a huge community that has taken it on Gaia, and thank God Drunvalo created a team of people that are still sharing it. Because I really
Yeah.
think um, it has a huge number of value for people, clarity and experience. The real juice there is the experience. A lot of people have a direct experience of their own abilities and their own higher self and their own heart. It's something
Right.
rare and unique. And so maybe why don't you tell us a little about yourself and your practice? Because I know
Mm-hmm.
you have multiple other activities along with
Mm-hmm.
the ATIA.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe tell us like how did you come to Drunvalo and to the course and to teaching it?
Yeah. So, well, I'm just gonna jump right to it because I like quantum leaps, like they say. Just a little bit about my background. I was born and raised in Peru.
Mm-hmm.
So since I was a little girl, I had a beautiful connection with Earth and Mother Earth and plants, and I heard them talk to me and rocks and whatnot. But then I came to the United States and kind of like locked off that connection. Then um, with a couple of years in the United States, I started meditating. I went to school here, had kids, got married, and the whole thing. And then I went into meditation because I was looking for self help books, and I found Deepak Chopra and Wayne Dyer and certain amazing teachers that help you with self healing and self love and emotional trauma healings. And I started doing a little bit of work on that, and that took me into more of the deeper esoteric teachings, and that's how I uh, found Drunvalo. I was listening to a podcast, Healing with the Masters, one time, and I heard Drunvalo speak. They were interviewing him, and he was talking about the heart space, and it really caught my attention because through my journey of self healing, all the teachers that I kept hearing was talking about um everything was about the heart and being in the heart space and blah 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 the heart. So I was like, okay, everybody comes always back down to this beautiful space, but how do you really go into this space and stay there? How do you really live in your heart? What does that even mean? So when I heard John Bolo speak in that interview, in the Healing in the Masters interview, it really resonated what he said, that everything was inside of you. And I something that I always felt that it was true since I was a little girl. I really resonate with everything, that everything is within you, that there's nothing outside of you, everything is within. So him having that teaching really resonated with me. So I listened to him and I ordered his books, The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life. Right when I finished listening to that podcast, I ordered his books, and it was just like a fresh of like a breath of fresh air, because everything he was saying in this book, it was like me opening, like, I don't know, for some people it will be the Bible, but for me it was like, yes, 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 because everything that he was saying in these books really resonated with my heart space. It was like as if you were reading something and I had like a thermometer, or saying, is this true, is this not true? And everything was like, yes, this is true, yes, this is true, this is what you've been feeling. Because believe it or not, we know that we are not just these beings here on earth. There's so many life forms out there, and he brought this information into the ancient secret of the flower life in Egypt and the Nephilims, and then he just put everything together. And then I fell in love with that book, and then started going deeper into his teachings, and then it all came down into Awakening Illuminated Heart, the teachings of Awakening Illuminated Heart. So once I found that teaching, I went into the School of Remembering, and so that there was teachers, just like one or two teachers at that time, having taken teaching these classes, and he had just brought it out, and he was doing teacher certifications as well. And this teachings were just out for like about 6 months or 8 months when I came to them, and then I went into the ATIH as a student, and it changed my life so profoundly. The connection that I had with my heart space and with all the beings that live within me, and with Mother Earth and nature, that and the healing that it did for my heart, for my mental programs, just society, emotional, mental, spiritual programs that we all have. It did so much in such a deep and immensely way that I did a 360 degrees in my life. I started living from my heart space and manifesting things that a lot of people would consider magic or alchemical. So I said I need to teach this. I really, the world needs to live in their hearts. Like everybody should have these teachings. Everybody should live in their heart space. If we all live in the heart space, the world will be a golden age tomorrow. That's it. No wars, no famine. That's it. Everybody needs this. So I said, well, how can I contribute and how can I make a change in the world? And it's by you changing yourself first, right? You first got to walk the walk. So that's what I did. I went and I took the class about 3 or 4 times. I went to Sedona, and I took the class again with Drunvalo, and I applied for the teacher certification, and then ended up in Mexico with other amazing teachers that were teaching this with and with Drunvalo, and we were there for about 15 days teaching the ATIH. So I took the ATIH about 20 times before I became a teacher. But it was just, and it has done nothing but profound changes on every student that has come across this work. I mean, it's just so beautiful, so profound, and so in the heart space. It's all about love, and teaching that love is your greatest weapon, and that everything is if you do it with love, everything just comes into place, and understanding, and not leading from the mind, learning to master the mind, learning that you can, for it to be your servant instead of the other way around. So yeah, so
Oh,
that's how I ended up.
why don't you tell me a little bit more about that experience of yours? We talked about it offline, how you leave more from the heart than from the mind, and why you stopped being here and more in here.
Yeah, because since when you are living in the mind and you're living in that in your headspace, you're living in duality consciousness. You're living in the negatives and the you have negative thoughts and you have positive thoughts. You have good things and bad things. The mind is always very loud and creating stuff that's not even there, and the ego creates stuff, and it's usually painful and harmful, or creating stories that are not true, right? um but when you let go and you quiet that mind and you quiet that space, and you go back into the heart space, and you teach this is what we teach. We teach you to have your spirit become this small, and learn to travel down your throat and into the heart space, and really stay there and start feeling that inner peace. That is a space where you are manifesting from love and oneness. It's just a different whole type of vibration. So even Hermes trichometrus, or said it right, as above so below, as without so within, or as within so without. So it's really like that. We are manifesting this reality as co-creators that we are. Every human being is manifesting this reality, and the reason why we are manifesting this reality, and it's a reality of sometimes pain and suffering, famine and ambitions and greed, is because there are these things, these emotions are that exist within us. So when you let go of these emotions and you center yourself in your heart space and you live from that heart space, these emotions end up dissipating. Therefore, your reality becomes one of love and joy and peace. And those emotions that are not, you know, I would say, I would say sometimes negative and can and hurt you and put you in a space of suffering. Um, let go of that and you become more in tune with the heart, and your reality changes. So that's why it's so important to let go of sometimes the brain, because if you don't not you have not learned to master it, you know, you understand once you learn to master it, sometimes you see thoughts or thoughts are coming to you and you're like, wait a minute, these thoughts are not true. Why am I thinking these thoughts? This isn't this why what Evelyn, why are you thinking this? This is not you. You see, so you become the master of these thoughts and you become the observant. You no longer are it. You are the observant. You are looking at the thoughts and you're just like questioning and you're like, But when you're in the heart space, you know that it's a space of love and oneness. And you start manifesting and creating whatever your heart's desires from this space and giving thanks already. You know, gratitude, it's huge in this space because you already are so grateful for whatever is going to come to you. You're already acting as if it's already yours. You're in a space of always abundance and love and peace, and then manifesting and staying in that vibration changes your reality outside of you. It just this within comes out. So everything around you starts changing before your eyes, and it takes work for some, and for some are easier, for some are, it's a little harder because the programming, the fears, the self-doubts, it's so embedded in a lot of in humans that it's not easy. But it doesn't mean it cannot be done. It can be done, and it's being done, you know, as we speak. A lot of people are nowadays are thinking and talking about manifesting. Oh, I'm manifesting this and I'm creating this, and everybody's into yoga and meditation and saging. So this is something that was taught to us many, many, many centuries ago, you know, by all these ascended masters, and it's now becoming like a trend. You know, so you could use
And that's
this
what that.
space. Yeah, 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 yeah. So it's great. I mean, yeah, so that's why I think it's important that you stay living in your heart, because you're manifesting from a space of love and oneness versus a space of fear and ego.
Sorry, I disappeared for a second there. I smelled something burning in it. There was
Oh.
something burning.
No,
So
you're
yeah,
good.
I'm totally with you on the ball on this, and it's actually quite fascinating how a lot of individuals nowadays feel this pull away from belief systems, and it's I like how you articulated, and I actually enjoy very much talking with people that have taken the ATIH
Mm,
and people that have done inner work in general. And my background is from yoga. I haven't introduced this. I spent a lot of years studying yoga. I have a master's in Oriental language and philosophy. I study Sanskrit, Hindi. I meditate regularly. So I've done the mind stuff for a
mm,
long time. But throughout that time, there was always the teachings of the heart. And I am talking about the Upanishads. I am talking about my meditation teacher, his teacher, and the teacher before him. And so there's this
mm,
profound inner knowledge of the heart in the sacred traditions that it's considered to be hidden for, let's just say, only for the right students or for the successor. And it's not. It's always been available. It's always been taught. The problem is that down the line, along the years, this knowledge has been dispersed, misunderstood. And from the side of, from the side of the traditions that I come from, I've experienced that there was a natural flow into the heart through silence.
mm.
When you quiet your mind, it naturally goes down into the heart.
Yeah.
And the fascinating thing is that I've done it for 2 decades, and I was not aware of what I was doing
Mm,
until I actually started studying Drunvalo's work. And I'm a guy, so right mind, right, left brain, everything it was about sacred geometry for me. all about calculating and the organized mind. Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
how my
Mm-hmm.
sister responded. And then finally, I took the course, and the articulation of the process of descent within your own being into through your own, I call spirit consciousness. Right? You know, different tradition, different vocabulary, but same concept. And so I love to call the spirit consciousness because I feel it's a little bit more mundane and understandable. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I bring my awareness, my consciousness within my body down to that space, to that
Mm-hmm.
area within my chest, I feel one, two, three, four, five, and then I can move around and I can feel four, five, seven, and this is how the whole process connects. And it's actually fascinating to hear someone else experiencing it from the very opposite side.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the question that I want to ask you and I want to hear you talk about then is why don't you share with us some of your manifestations, if you want to use that word, or how you projected your heart's
Desires.
energy, energy, desire out
Mhm.
into your daily life, because that's what really people want to hear. What's the experience and how you lived it in your daily life?
Yeah, so for me personally, when I started getting into spirituality and all these teachings and then learn how to go into my heart space, and I was working as a paralegal. I was working for attorneys in the city in Manhattan, and then in here in Long Island, and I was working, and I remember saying to myself, like, this is not my heart's desires. I don't want to be a paralegal for the rest of my life. This is, I ended up just working as a
Pays the
secretary
bills.
receptionist. It's a great job and it's a good paying job, but this is not something that it's my heart's desires or passions. So for a year, I was going into my heart space and learning how to navigate that space, learning what was in there, who was in there, my guides that were in there, my higher self, and really focusing on what was inside of me, and all my connections that I had inside of me. So I decided to start manifesting, and I said to myself, well, I really don't want to work anymore as a paralegal. I really just want to travel the world and teach this ATIH.
So this is
Uh,
after your first, and then
this
becoming
is
teacher, and then
yeah,
we're talking
this is
about what,
this
2
is
years?
this is actually through when before I was becoming a teacher. This is when I did the workshop, and I was just focusing on after I did my first workshop. That's all I did. I was going back into my heart space and learning and connecting and connecting and connecting, because I wanted to know how to drive this car. It's like this new vehicle that I found within myself, and it has all these amazing parts. So I don't want it to go 150 miles an hour when I don't even know how to go 30 miles an hour. I need to get to know it first. So for about, I will say, 3 or 4 months, I was going in and then manifesting. At the beginning, I was like, what do I manifest? What do I need? And at that moment in time, I was very happy where I was, in everything. And the more I kept going in, I said, well, let's manifest love and oneness and peace for earth. And that's what I did for a very long time. And then I said, well, do you really want to work and stay as a paralegal? And I said, no, this is not my heart's calling, going within and checking within. And what do you really want? Well, I would love to teach this course. And I would love to stop working, really. And just, I don't believe in retiring at 65 years old. I mean, like, come on. I want to enjoy life now and do what I love now. This is, I want to do is, now. And so I decided that I became, then, that happened with Drummer was teaching a class, and that manifested. And I said, well, I'm taking this course and I'm going to Mexico. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Now, it was very hard for me because I always, I'm a mom, and I had 3 kids at that time, and they were small, and I had never left my kids ever to go anywhere by myself. And here I am, like, listen, I really, really want to become a teacher. And in order for me to get certified, I need to go to Mexico by myself and teach and be with Drunvalo for 15 days, and I really wanted it. And I did it. There was nothing stopping me. It was just like, when you want something, you just, that's it. There's everything, just like all your limitations, all the things that you create in your head so it could stop, it just vanishes. It's just like your focus and your energy is all there. So the universe has nothing else to do, but also is a genie. He actually says, okay, that's what you want, that's what I'm going to give you, because that's what you're vibrating at. You're not, you're manifesting that.
So walk me through
So
it. Walk me through it. So what happened? You found someone to take care of the kids
I
for 2 weeks, and
my mom was like, listen, I'll take care of the kids. Some At that moment in time, I think I got a bonus or something like that, and so the money came in at that moment in time, which was perfect, because my ex-husband at that time was like, oh my god, how are we gonna afford this? You're gonna not work for 2 weeks, and we still got bills to pay, and plus you have to pay for the course, and plus your flight, and then and all of this expenses, and your food, and blah 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 blah. So I was like, everything is going to work out. And then once that worked out like that, and the money came in, and magically everything just starts falling into place. It was like, okay, I got this. Then it became like a second nature. It was just like it just is. It's like, it's just
you see it
your
under
whole
your
life.
eyes, right? It's right
Yeah.
under your eyes. And
it's it's
what was your ex-husband's reaction or your mom's reaction to it?
what was my what?
Your ex-husband's and your mom, what reaction did they have to all of this?
Oh, they were really happy because they saw that I was excited, and they saw that I was really happy in doing this workshop. But in doing this workshop, I really also woke up to a lot of things, you know, of our world. And so I went through that stage of my life. But at the end, it all came
Can you
back into
clarify? Do you mind? Can you be a little more specific?
well, I didn't know a lot about the secret societies, the cabal, the deep state. I didn't know about GMOs. I didn't know about the reptilians or the archons or all the space beings that had come into our world. And I was not aware of any of these things, so as the more I kept meditating, right, and the more I kept researching, so I started having a habit. I had a habit of reading something and closing my eyes, and then going within my heart space and saying, is this true or is this real? Right? Is what they're saying, is it true or is it real? Is it fake? Is it true? Is it fake? Is it true that this? So I started discerning. So my discernment started becoming very
Start.
keen to things. Yeah, very sharp. And I was like, so I went down that rabbit hole of understanding the reality of this planet that we were living in, and what Earth has been basically a slave planet in many different ways, and the universe and the galaxy, and where we were going with all of this, and humanity in itself, and the traumas, and the reincarnations. And it was so much information, and it all came back to, what can you do to make this world and change this world to become a better place? And it was just me going back into my heart space and becoming that person, being full of love and joy and happiness, so that I can inspire others to look that within themselves as well. So I had to walk my walk. It's the only way. I could talk all I can, but it's my actions that would teach others more than anything that I say. And that's why I decided to give that space, and everything that I knew that was happening with the cabal and the deep state, and the Illuminati, or however you want to call them. And understood their position, but my position was of helping people, assisting people, and turning everything into love, changing the timeline into joy and happiness. And I had to do that within first myself and be truly authentic. It's not about being humble, it's about being authentic. It's about being true to who you really are and your heart's desires and your words and your actions, and just being transparent, because when you're not hiding anything, you become transparent when you're true to who you are, even through your flaws or your darkness. Yes, I have my shadow selves and I work with them, but you are upfront about them. There's nothing, that's beautiful and it's authentic, and everybody has them. And then being acceptance and understanding and holding people in that space and being able to hold that sacred space for all of them, that's when humanity starts uniting, and this is when tribe and soul family starts connecting to one another. This is how we change the world. So when I started doing that and doing and teaching the ATIH and all of that, that was my goal, to bring humanity to awaken, to assist them, to like we could really change the world if we change ourselves. But in order for us to do that, we got to look at our shadow selves and our emotional traumas and heal those parts of ourselves that are still dark, but they are not really dark. They're just experiences that we went, and we just got to learn how to deal with them and let them go, and open our hearts again, and we go back to being that little kid again, that little 3-year old that was happy and imagining things and full of life and adventurous and not fearful, and letting go of all those masks that you built up throughout your lifetime here. And just, it's not even about learning anything, it's about unlearning, right? And becoming that 3-year old again, that's pure in love and full of light. So I think that was one of my biggest things. And then through my initiation with Drunvalo, becoming a teacher, and then going to Sedona and had like a certain initiations with Sana Kumara over there, and some of the ascended masters over there, and then was guided to go to Peru, had some initiations in the jungle with plant medicines over there, and then in Lake Titicaca with beans over there. They were telling me or guiding me, this is what you're gonna do. And I said, how am I ever gonna do lead retreats to Peru? How am I ever gonna do this? Or they're asking me to do that, or lead retreats to Sedona or Manchasta, or you're gonna have. And I said, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I'm just a paralegal and I have no idea what and they were like, just trust. Mother Earth was just trust me. My higher self was just trust, and let go, surrender. And it was hard for me because I do have a logical mind too, and I am,
Uh,
I want to know.
yeah.
So I'm a truth seeker, and I studied numerology, so my life path is 7, so a mystical number as well. So I'm like, I really really need to know. So at the end, it was just, I just surrender, and I wouldn't worry anymore. I said, you know what, I don't know how I'm gonna go to Peru. I don't have the funds, but that's what spirit wants me to do, and I'm going. And I understood a lot of what John Bolo was saying in his books, because everything that he wrote in the Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, or the Serpent of Light, or Living in the Heart, all the mystical encounters, the magic that happened to him, that people are like, like, you wouldn't believe this, started happening to me. Like, you had to be there to understand it. And I think with my journeys and my trips that I have taken people to, I said, we have an itinerary, and we have goals to, places to visit in this journey. But please leave your heart open, because magic happens all the time. Sometimes what you plan, even though it sounds great, the universe has a better plan for you.
Mm.
So
Give us
it
an
always
example.
happens to that.
Can you give us an example?
An example. So it usually happens that and I guess I've been very blessed with that. When I go on my journeys, let's say, oh well, we need to go to this space. Let's say we need to go and visit this sacred space, But before we go heading to that sacred space, oh well, let's stop at the store. And when we go to and stop at the store, a gentleman stops us and says, oh, you guys are heading to this other place, and we're like, no. And then they're like, he's like, yeah, but you should go there instead. And then three people in the group will say, you know what, I had a dream about that space that he's talking about like last month. And then another person's like, I had a meditation, and whatever whatever he's mentioning. So that space that we were supposed to go to, we end up going to a new space that we never ever, none of us ever been, but we're just getting guided to go there. And there's something there, there's magic happening, the meditations, everything that we do, it's profound, and it's more like there's always a reason. So you learn to listen to the universe, the higher self. You learn to listen to that part. So it becomes, there was a trip that I had with seven of us. It was seven of us. The whole itinerary went out the window on the first night because we did a deep meditation, and I did shamanic breath work with them. They all said we need to do this, and then like the puzzle started coming together, and it was all about going to certain parts of this space, of this place where we were, and healing entrapped souls that were there. So it was really interesting to me, and so it's magical, and it's more fun, and it's adventurous. um I mean, things like that have appeared. I mean, I could go on and on and on, and they're just there. They're like, Evelyn, is if if people need to be here to understand. It's like there was a time we all were in Sedona, I remember, and we all hiked the mountain. I mean, we didn't know what time we were gonna get there. We just finished having lunch, and everybody was like, Evelyn, can we just head back home? We're so tired. We just finished having lunch. I'd rather go jump in the pool and hang out in the jacuzzi. We meditated all day. We hiked all day. Can we just chill today? And I said, no, we have to finish this mountain. This mountain is beautiful, and let's come on. So everybody had just finished lunch, and you're like tired, and you just want to relax, and you're like ready. And so I said, no, come on. So I said, we'll take our time hiking there. We'll take our time. I swear to you, we'll take our time, and we're gonna get to the tippy top, but we'll take our time. We'll do it slow. And we did. We got there, and it was beautiful. And when we get there, it was the sunset. It was about sunset already. And we took our time, and we get there, and I put on the beautiful music, meditation music, took out the drum and saging everyone, and just put this beautiful music, and the sun is right there. And I asked them, let everything, ask Father Son to upgrade your DNA to its high, to its original blueprint. So everybody's doing that, and everybody's connecting. And all of a sudden I said, you know what, I'm going to put this beautiful song, and I press play. And the song is, I don't know how, the song is probably 7 8 minutes. I don't know how long the song is. And it's just, and as we're sitting in meditation and just looking at the sun that's about to go down, the sun, it's vibrating at every beat of the drum of this song. And everybody's just looking at the sun, and everybody's just in quiet, and then they just look at each other like, are you seeing what I'm seeing, or am I imagining this? So this is the internal telepathy we're all having. So we just let it be. And as the song is finishing, the sun starts going down, and the sun starts going down. And at the last moment when the sun ends, the sun disappears. So the song and the sun were both in sync with one another. So the song is ending, the sun is coming down, the song is about to end, and they just both just ended, and the sun set at the same time. And everybody was like, did you plan that? I'm like, how am I gonna plan that? I don't even know her song. I don't know when is the sun. I have no clue.
Hold on. I need to ask you a question. Was this a tape recorded? It was a recorded song.
This was a recorded song.
Okay.
It was in my playlist. I just went in, I teach everybody, I played my drum, and I said, let's meditate, let's put this beautiful guy, press play. Just
and everything else happened.
So certain things like that happened, and then there was, I remember I was with the group, and there was other strangers, and they got to witness this magic. They were like, what was that? And everybody, because everybody felt it so deeply. And I said, I'm like, I didn't do anything. I said, this is how it is. Like, it's not surprising to me anymore. It's just like, wow. So a lot of the things is like you need to experience it to really understand what I'm talking about. So you need to walk that walk and experience them.
But, yeah, I agree with that. I'm going to jump into another little question. So, how I would love to hear a little bit more your experience about the Merkaba and the tiny space of the heart. And how
Mm.
the two, what are the dynamics fundamentally? How do they work? What did you learn from your meditations about the tiny space of the heart and the Merkaba?
Yeah, so when because everybody wanted to know about the Merkab. I mean, that was one of the biggest things when Jumbo took this. But it's like, oh my God. So even myself, I was like, oh my God, am I gonna be able to travel to, like, oh my God, this is, and but it was so interesting because for me personally, when I went into my tiny space, I had so much information that I needed to process, and I was going into so many spaces within my space that I'm like, holy smokes. The Merkaba was the last thing on my mind because I first needed to understand the inner me. And I said, okay, so let me travel with my Merkaba. So everywhere I went, I needed to go, let's say, oh, Evelyn, go to Venus or go to the moon or whatever. I would travel with my Merkaba. But I realized that the Merkaba is also like a vehicle of ascension, right? It's your tool. It's a tool. It's like a car, right? It's gonna take you places where you want to go. And when I started looking more into the Merkaba and looking more into these teachings, right, what I realized is also that this Merkaba, this light body, right, back in ancient times, we were able to travel with our Merkaba. This is where we're talking about teleportation. This is when teleportation comes into place. Because in my head, I'm like, okay, I wanna go and travel with my Merkaba and my light body, but I want to take my body with me. I don't want to do it, just consciously and in spirit. I want to take my body with me. So I started questioning that within me and asking my guys. And they say, well, with great responsibility, right? With great power comes great responsibility, right? So I realized that the Merkaba, it's a tool at this moment in time for you to travel and go to this higher dimensionals and get information. You'll be able to take your body with you when you have activated your DNA to its fullest extent, right? To its original blueprint. So that dormant DNA that we all have, so we all were able to do telekinesis, telepathy, clairvoyance, clairaudience. We all have all that DNA. We all have that, right? So the Merkaba, it's part of that. It's part of teleportation. That people, there are some, you know, indigenous tribes out there that can teleport, but they don't use it, But there are indigenous tribes out there. Jambalo told us a story about one time they were having a meeting with all these indigenous tribes out in Sedona, and they were supposed to come from Mexico, from Colombia, from all different parts of the world, and none of them speak English. None of them have passports. They live in the jungles, but they all showed up, right? So there is this mystical wisdom that you have to learn with the Merkaba, that you can take the Merkaba. For me, the Merkaba has been great. I put it around my house. I activate it. I use it for when I travel. But it's an extension of you. It's just an energy field that's connected to you. It is a light body that's connected to you, that can assist you in many other things once you also activate that dormant DNA that you have. That the more activation you have with your dormant DNA, it's the more this Merkaba can be of a greater use. But at this point for me was the biggest thing was the heart space, because your reality will literally change once you learn to navigate just being within your heart space. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but
It
yeah.
does, but it also brings up a lot more questions. And, and so one of these other questions is how, I mean, first of all, where did you go? What did you see? What did you experience? Were you going to places in the beginning where you were experimenting? Were you going to places that you already knew, or you,
Yeah.
you envisioned
So
new places completely? Is that related to remote viewing? How do you define
right.
the two?
Right. So for me with the Merkaba in the beginning of my path, I'm talking about, 8 years ago, because now I'm in a space of just the heart space, and don't really travel as much as, but I was fascinated in the beginning. So I will program a Merkaba to uh to teach me, to take me to mystery schools that are in the ethers, right? So I will go into meditation before I go to sleep, and I will program a Merkaba that night I will learn. So from the mystery school. So maybe I don't remember probably all that information that I will, and I remember being taken to different parts of mystery schools and learning and going into caves. And I have slightly um hints of those things. But what will happen is every time I showered, for some reason, I will get the downloads of of this knowingness. It was just downloads. It was just like understandings or wisdoms or teachings, or that I would just gather just like
You
this.
remembered. So you remembered
Yes.
what
So yeah.
interesting.
So it still happens to me because like let's say if you want to program for me was, a lot of people were like, oh, I want to go to galaxies. To me was always about learning more about the esoterics and teachings, because I know that grandmother Anna, right, the mother of Jesus, she traveled with her Merkaba, and she was able to leave her body in the Egyptians sarcophagus, and then she would take her consciousness and go to Venus or go to Sirius and continue her teachings there, and then come back to bring her consciousness back to her physical body, and do it like that and continue in this earth plane. So what I would do at nighttime is do the same thing practically, is go with my Merkaba to the mystery schools and ask for, put my intention and my energy that I program my Merkaba to take me to these other mystery places, so I can continue and expanding my knowledge and wisdom in the esoteric world. And then I will wake up in the morning, and then sometimes I'll feel tired, sometimes I don't, sometimes I feel like something happened in my dream state. But it wouldn't be till I go in the shower that, for me, the shower water its portals that were opening up, and this as divine consciousness was just like remembering, oh, this is, oh. And then I will have to have a notebook in the beginning of, I will have a notebook in my shower, and I will have a pen, because it was just like I need to write it down ASAP, because then the mind kicks in and the ego and the logic kicks in, right? And this wisdom or this information that you're gathering, um, leaves, because you step in, instead of just letting be free flowing. And so I will have a notebook, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to write this down now, because other than that, I will forget, you know. So it was like that for the first 3 years, I would say, on my path, uh, with the Merkaba and the places that I travel. I mean, I will go visit my daughters, all the time. Like, let's say if they were in school, or they went away on a trip, or I would sense them, or I would, and they will feel me too. And then I had a beautiful connection, let's say, with the wind, and I would speak to the wind. And so it came to the point that I was really just being in that space of connection, to an extent that my girls would call me sometimes, and they'd be like, can you please tell Mother Earth to stop snowing, because we're going to another state driving, and it's really snowing. And I said no. Or can you please tell the sun to come out because it's kind of cloudy and it, you know. So I said, you have the power. Everybody has the power to do these things because you're not separate from them. You are them. You are the wind. You are the sun. You are everything that's out of you. So they're you. You're not. I'm not saying it to them. I'm just becoming them and being able to do that. Um, and I think that what helped me a lot with doing that was when I was traveling in my Merkaba and learning these teachings, this is esoteric alchemy, basically, in these mystery schools that are in the ether. There's a couple of them in the States. There's a couple of them in the Andes of Peru. There's in Tibet and India and yeah.
So let me understand what you did before going to bed. You
Set my intention, right? You go into meditation, you go into your heart space, you stay in your, you go into your tiny space. And I would say I would love to be connected to one of the mystery schools in Tibet or one of the mystery schools in blah blah blah. And yeah, because what I did also was I would learn or read a lot of like the Upanishads, right? I would read a lot about their books and ancient stuff that again, every time I read, I close my eyes and I say, is this real? Is this out there? And I will get a yes or no. And if it's a yes, then I would write it down and I say, well, this is one place I would definitely love to travel to and connect with. You know, there's a lot of teachers that you see, spiritual teachers, that they sound amazing, they look amazing when you're reading what they could do, but then there's an intuition within you that you're like, I don't know, there's something wrong, like she sounds really good but there's something there. So I say that with everything, you know, with everything that's out there, all the stories and all the books about spirituality, you really need to learn to discern and be sharp with it because you just don't know. So you want to be able to discern, and whatever your heart is saying yes to, then I will say, okay, I want to go deeper into that. So I will set my intention to do that at nighttime, or I will go into a deep meditation of 3 hours and travel to that space. So I would just stay, and you know, there's no time and space. So I would, you know, in the beginning of my path, I was just sitting in meditation for a very, very long time. And it was fascinating because I'm learning and learning and learning. And it's like, wow, you know, like that's the thing with when you know that the brain is always um it's always recycling the same thoughts and ideas. It's recycling, recycling, recycling. When you're in meditation and you're tuning into this other frequencies or vibrations or realities, the things that you are seeing, you cannot make this up because you never seen it in your life. You
read.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
You know, that's
like
actually the secret. That's one of the secrets to know that you are having an experience because
yeah,
you have not perceived it with your senses before. And a lot of people think that they're going bonkers or they think that they are, you know, just imagining stuff.
right.
I have to say, I've spent a lot of time thinking that I was making up stuff, but you know, there's so many individuals when I teach and share my experience with meditation. I speak about lights and you know, I just speak about what I perceive and experience. And so many people come back, you know what? I saw that blue light as well, and you know, I heard that sound too. I had that experience of going through a tunnel when I was meditating as well. And it's a fascinating and important thing that we all as a community, as you know, a growing body of humanity expanding their awareness and not just being materialistically stuck into our perception, and we share this perception. And that
Yeah,
I think the amazing part of these courses is really there because Drunvalo and the teachers drop a seed. They tell you how to fish. They show you how to use, you know, the stick and go pull up, you know, the fish up. And then what you need to do is get, you know, do it your own and eat the fish. It's the
yeah,
very same thing.
yeah,
While in religion and in other traditions, you're hooked, you're the fish. And then
Yeah.
you have to go to the priest to tell you
To feed you.
that you have to give him the money so that you can eat.
Yeah, I mean, I think like that's why I love the fact that it's called the School of Remembering. When we first were there, because it's there's nothing that I'm teaching you that you don't ever you don't know already. It's I'm just helping you remember because you have the tools within you. So
I
it's
thank
it's
you for
beautiful.
saying this. There's one more. I'm jumping to a different topic, but there's something that clicked with me immediately when I was reading Drunvalo's material and then talking to other teachers. And that is the fact that we have all this information within our DNA and within our energy center. And I have experienced this directly so many times because in different ways. First of all, you feel the resonance when you read this stuff. It's like, yes, yes. How do I know that? It's like in my mind, I knew in my heart that it was the real truth, but in my mind, it felt like, wait a second, what the hell are you talking about? You never read anything like this. Why do you think it's true? And so
Right.
self-doubt was kicking until I finally resolved the issue by looking at the facts. And it's like, I know this stuff because it's in the system already.
I know. Yeah, it is. It is. And it's just a remembering process. And that's what I love about these teachings, that it just sparks something in you. It's like I know it sounds crazy, but I know it's true. I know this doesn't make any sense, but I feel it in my heart that what she's saying or what she's teaching, it makes true. And that's how it was for me. And instead of making you fearful, or it encourages you, it empowers you, it makes you become more sovereign in your being, and that connection with your higher self, and your life becomes better, and you're happier, and you're living in a space of passion and joy and peace. And that's when you know these are true teachings. That's when you know that because anything that makes you go fearful, like you said, religion, or the God is outside of you, it's again, you are at the mercy of somebody else to make you happy. You are at the mercy of the priest, of the church, of nothing, of a book, when all of that is in within you, and God is directly connected to you. There is no middleman. It's you and source. You are a co-creator, and that gives you powers. That's why I say there's a lot of teachers or spiritual teachers, when we come into discernment, that they think that their way is the only way. 100% false, right? Because there are 1,000 ways to get to the top of the mountain. You could crawl, you could take a rope, you could put up a stair, you could hike, you could rock climbing, you could fly in. I mean, there is 1,000 ways to get to the top of the mountain. So for a teacher, when a teacher tells you this is my way and it's this like this, run.
And the only way,
And the only way, run.
right?
And one of the biggest things I want to say is, like, love is the highest vibration. Love is the highest vibration. And when people come to me and say, how do I change my life? How do I have this negative energies or energy, vibrate at a higher level. And you know how you change your life? With love. Learn to love yourself, like authentically love yourself. And once you learn to love yourself, meaning that you don't tolerate relationships that no longer serve you, you don't tolerate work or jobs that no longer serve you, that you start following your bliss, that's truly loving yourself. And I promise you, everything around you will change, because love is your greatest weapon.
Okay, I need to stop you. No, no, no. I mean, I'm conscious of time, but also the most important thing is example, right? So tell me, how did you put love first? How did you get rid of relationships? Give me an example,
Oh my
or
God, I
well,
was in a I was married for 20 years. So I had the picket fence, the home, the things. And I knew even before I got divorced that I this wasn't gonna be it wasn't the right relationship for me, because we already had issues. But I thought that I had to stay because of my family and society, the programs, right? Society, the programs. Oh, well, you have kids, and he loves you and you love him, and even though you're not 100% happy, doesn't matter. You know, you need to stay there. You need to. And I knew deep down that it wasn't my highest calling, my fulfillment. And I had to let that relationship go, you know, because I needed to be honest with myself. I needed to be, I needed to understand that it was a codependent relationship. You right, and you need to be honest. You need to be true to yourself and be really honest with yourself. You know, because with relationships, people fall in love with the illusion of that person. So here you are with that person, but then you fall in love with who you think they can become. And you're like, but if he
You want them,
changes
or who
or
you
who you
want them.
want them to be.
Yeah.
So here you are a year, 2 years, no, but you change or he'll change it. And he's gonna change. And so you are hoping and expecting, you're in love with a person in your head and you're not in love with the reality that's in front of you. And you have to be really honest with yourself. You know, this person is not going to be the man or the woman you want her to be. She might never be. So you're in love with a false image of her, and it is not good for you, and it's not good for her. You know, and really real love, unconditional love, is really loving the person with all their flaws and letting them be, not trying to put them in a golden cage. Is letting them be free. You know, and if they come back to you, they come back to you. If they don't, it's fine too, because you're so in love and you're so complete yourself that you don't need another person to make you happy. If they want to come, great. You know, it's like you're a beautiful cake and your cake is amazing and delicious. And then that other person, that your compliment will be like the cherry on top. If it's there, it's cool. If it's not there, it's cool, because you already are amazing. You're whole. You know, there's no other half because you are whole. So I think that once you let go of expectations in relationships, you know, and you learn to really love yourself and have no expectations and accept your partner for who they are, and understand that they could fall out of love with you in a year or 2 years, in 3 years, in 6 years, or in a month. It's okay for them to fall, because they're not a chair, they're not a rock. They are always ever changing and ever, expanding. Everything changes. So for you to say you're gonna love me forever and ever, it's really you setting yourself up because they might not, because they might evolve and they might change and they might want to do no meditation anymore. They might want to just continue and do salsa dancing in another part of the world, and it's okay if that makes them happy. You see, so having expectations
I
is
love.
really
I,
the mother.
I really love that you're touching this subject. I mean, it's a huge one in the community, and everyone is talking about twin flames, and what else? What's the other thing that is coming around? Like the perfect partner, or your your twin soul, your twin soul.
The
That's
twin
a big.
soul.
I tell you one thing. If I've learned anything from relationship, is that you cannot be in a relationship if you don't love yourself. It's
That's
like
it.
projecting your shit on the other person and expect them to suck it up, eat it, digest it for you.
It's
And it's
true.
bullshit. It's bullshit. It's like, and it's so, and I've done it myself, and I received it a lot of times. I
Yeah.
came to the
Yeah.
point of loving myself, and then I was in relationships where I was like the really the garbage bag for
Yeah.
the other person's emotions and expectations and demands and everything else. And I know that a lot of guys have the tendency of generalizing this subject. I've done
Hmm.
it myself, and women do too. Men are like this, and women are like that. We all say this. The truth is, if you don't look inside and you don't talk to your partner
Hmm.
about what you want to do, where you want to go, how many kids you want to have, what kind of job you're going to have, where you're going to live, what's a dream vacation. None of that stuff, which is very
Hmm.
superficial, because the real deep
Yeah.
stuff is when you go down and dig the shit out, and it
Yeah.
hurts like hell,
And it hurts a lot.
and it hurts like you're being
Yeah.
ripped apart. Then
Yeah.
it's like, what's the point of being in a relationship? It's all that you're doing to each other. It's this thing, frictioning.
Right.
What is the
Right.
point?
Right. Yeah.
Relationships like, you are my cake, I'm your strawberry on top of it, or vice versa.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what they are.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I say it's one of the biggest things that I learned with relationships was that once I divorced, I said, I really just want to enjoy and find out who I am as a person and heal myself and really just connect with me. I said, but I also understand that I cannot have expectations. And I tell my partner, whoever comes into my life, that there is no expectations, that I love you and you gotta love me, and we could grow together, we could grow apart, but the communication has to be there. So one of the biggest things that has worked for me in my relationship that I have now is that no expectations. That I'm gonna enjoy you today because I don't know what the future might bring.
Tomorrow is going to bring, yeah.
So with that mindset, right? I have you today, so I'm gonna really enjoy you because there is no commitment. There is no, not saying that I'm not committed. I am committed, but it's not like that relationship that's like, oh, I have to stay with you. No, I don't have to stay with you, and you don't have to stay with me. We like to be together. We enjoy each other's company. So in that space, we're always having fun. We're always having fun, so there, here you are, you're enjoying, you genuinely enjoy this person because you're always, and you have no expectations, you're having fun. And next thing you know, you are a year together, 2 years together, 3 years together, 4 years, because you're just having fun. And then there is that lack of that, you want them to be at a place, or then talking to them, this is what I desire in a partner. Oh, oh, this stimulates my mind when you do this. Oh, this stimulates. So it's all about communication too, which I had an issue, dealing with in my intimate relationships, and I had to learn to overcome how to express myself. But I think that relationships with expectations, without any expectations, maybe goals, instead of having expectations, have goals together. That will be better said, goals, but no expectations, understanding that you're just each other's there to love each other, to support each other, to make you become a better you, as a partner that supports you, that makes you grow, that sees your potential, that sees you in their higher self. You see, like, and I tell my boyfriend, I tell him, I said, I see you in your higher self. So when you tell me that you cannot do this, in my I smile because you already did it in my eyes. You see, so he's showing up, you know I want you to show up in my reality the way I know that you can be. So I don't I so I already celebrate him as he has. So that inspires him, that motivates him, or motivates me, inspires me as well. So it's a conscious relationship too. They both had to have done the shadow work and the ego and all of that. So it's not easy for a lot of people out there, because how many people are really working on their stuff? Not many. So
Agree. I totally agree. I mean, we are 1 hour in, and I'm super enjoying the conversation. I leave it to you. I know you have a time frame.
yeah, I got like 20 more minutes to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. Next question would be money. You said in the beginning that you didn't want to live to 65 to retire. So, how did you manifest the freedom from financial constriction? That's a
Well,
big question now as
you
well.
know what? It's so interesting, and it's a great question, because I think that a lot of humanity, the biggest issue with money, uh, has been money for humanity. I think that has been, people say, oh, slaves don't exist. They do exist, and that's money. Money is probably what has kept a lot of people in fear, not being able to do a lot of things they want to do because of money. uh, but understanding now also that coming into a place of the money's energy, right? And then again, like the relationship that we have with money, humanity, the relationship that humanity has with money is like a relationship that you probably have with your parents. You have to understand or see the trauma that's behind the relationship with money. For me personally, when I was a little girl being raised in Peru, we never had enough money. So there was my family's mindset was, don't ask because there's no money. Don't eat all your food because there's not going to be any food. There's always a struggle and what is it, a lack a lack. So when you are growing up and you having this program, right, since you're a little girl, but not only is you, it's your mom and your grandmother and your great grandmother in this generation of lack. What ends up happening here, you are, you have this awareness and there is still lack because this program has been in your system, in your ancestral for generations, right? So what we have to do as a human being, we have to reconnect our relationship with money, understanding that money is an energy. I knew of a lot of people, a lot of students that came that they thought that money was evil. That in itself, it's you're not, money is nothing but, like, everything is energy. I'm energy, your energy, everything around us is energy. So you having that belief system, right, your beliefs, right, if you think money is evil, you're already telling money go away.
pushing it
You
away.
pushing it away. If you think that you don't have enough, guess what, you're not gonna have enough. You're already pushing the money away. So you have to come into a space in a relationship with money that you are accepting of it and that you understand that money will always come to you. So the affirmations that Louis Hay has about finances has helped me a lot to break my patterns with lack of finances, you know has helped me. It was a work in progress for me, to it came to a place that when I was working with spirit and how the money was, oh, Evelyn, you need to go to this place. And I used to say, but how am I going to do it? I don't have the money. And they will say, you have to trust and put yourself in that space of abundance. And it was
Evelyn, I
that
can't hear you anymore. Don't know why. What happened? Oh, maybe I
uh
do. Try again.
you hear me?
Uh, let's try this way. Sorry.
You got it?
Yeah, got it. Sorry about that.
Okay, so it was in that space of, let's say, of abundance and gratitude. I was that has been the space that, if you want to manifest money and if you want to continue to have a better relationship with money, think of all the great things that you have around you. Focus on the positivity of the abundance because it's all energy. So if you focus about, oh man, I am so blessed, I have so much, guess what's going to come to you? More of that, quadruple. Oh my god, this is amazing. I'm so abundant, I'm so grateful, I'm so rich. I'm so rich in my finances. I'm so rich in my and but when you start thinking, it's like, I don't have enough. So I had to even catch myself when I was doing a lot of work, like 8, 9 years ago when I started my path. I had to change the way I speak to my kids. Instead of saying, no, I don't have money for
And
that,
to
I will have to,
yourself.
and to myself, mainly for myself, right? No, I don't have money for that. I will have to say, can we buy that later?
Mm,
Or maybe not today. Maybe we'll get it next week. How about next week? I go, how about this weekend? Maybe this weekend, but not tell them that I don't have.
mm.
You see, because I don't want to start putting programs in their brains that there is a lack.
That's a good mom for you.
So right. So then I had to teach myself. I had to teach them, and it's. I mean, it's been a blessing. I'm not saying I'm rich, but I'm saying that I am comfortable and I'm happy where I'm at. You know, uh, thank God. But then again, it's more for me. It's always been like. Uh, Having that mantra of gratitude, like I am so grateful. Gratitude has been everything. Like once you look at gratitude and you have your roof, you have everything you need, you 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 have a beautiful life and you're thanking Mother Earth. I mean, I'm starting an online business store and I want to donate to like other. I want to, when I open my store, I want to have like 5% of whatever people buy donated to poor countries or stuff like that. I want to open like a charity for some of the money to go there. And I started doing my research on different charities and different countries. And I started reading, and I'm reading and I'm staying up and I'm trying to see where should I, place my energy to, which charity or why not. And I start crying in how sad it is that they don't have, but how grateful it gave me so much gratitude
For what
of
you got.
for all that I have. And I said, wow, I said, I'm really like rich. When you start comparing, I'm like, wow, I feel like a Warren Buffett here. I feel like I'm a multi-billionaire, because not only because of what I have uh financially, but even in your spiritual, in your spiritual bank, the finances you have in your spiritual bank. Even if you and I were to go broke and we had no money and we're in the middle of nowhere, the knowledge and the wisdom that we have within ourselves, that's all we need, and we are abundant. And a lot of people don't have those tools. A lot of people are suffering.
Mm.
They are rich and they have finances and they can have all this money,
And
but
they're
they don't
still
have
miserable.
peace, and they're still miserable. And that to me, it's priceless. That to me, it's priceless.
Mm.
It's that inner peace,
Mhm.
that those tools. And then I'm seeing all of this, and then I said, wow, you look at my emotional bank, my spiritual bank, my financial bank, my, all this little, and I'm like, wow, I am wealthy. I'm really wealthy, and I am grateful. I'm grateful, Mother Earth. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful to Father, Son, to Great Spirit. I'm grateful for my kids, for the little plants that I have, for the little things that you have in life. That's beautiful. And I think that when you stay in that vibration of love and abundance and gratitude, I think that you might not become multi-billionaire, but you are given what you need at the time that you need it. And it's important. I think that gratitude for me and abundance, and I think that mentality of lack has to be taken out of your mind, that you don't have enough, or that the way
That is
you speak
amazing.
to
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you about intention in this direction. I know that changing the way you think changes the way you are. I mean, what you think is what you become and what you are. And at the same time, how did you, I mean, you changed your way you're thinking about money, and
Hmm.
then you had an intention, right? You had
Hmm.
an objective.
Right.
And so
Hmm.
what was that and how did you get there?
So an intention and an objective. You know what? I think that intention has to be something that has something that lights a fire in you.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It
Mhm.
has that fire in you, and I think that passion, that whatever is it that you have 100% your intention. Let's say when I took this ATIH and I was a student, and I know that I had to leave my kids, and I know I had to come up with the money to pay for my flight and for my expenses over there, my food and accommodations, and
And the
then the
course.
courses and all of that. And in my head, I'm like, okay, this is gonna cost me, but my passion, my desire to to become a teacher trump all of that.
Mm.
And it was so fueled with this burning
It's
desire, that
determination.
that determination, like that to me is the key for anything. And the money will show up. Like, let's say if you want a house, if you want to buy a house, and if you really want a house, and you start thinking, no, but my job and this is going to cost me, and the rent and this, I understand you have to put those things into consideration, but don't let those things dim that inner fire, that inner passion that you want to be able to buy. I bought my first house when I was 27 years old. 27 or 28 years old.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I was 27 or 28 years old in Long Island. Okay. And I remember people around me were saying, what are you doing? How are you gonna pay the mortgage? How are you gonna feed the kids? How are you? And I was like, don't worry about me. you cannot project your fears.
Mind
and
your own business,
business.
bitches.
You have to, you have to, you have to
Did you
tell them
raise
this
that one, the middle one of
yeah.
the?
I said you have to push them away because they live in fear, you know. So they're gonna be able to get to in life wherever the limitations or fears gets them. To me I said, what's the worst that can happen to me? The bank would take the money away, the house,
The house
and I
away.
move back the house away and I move back to an apartment. That's the worst thing that could happen. I'll take the risk. I mean, like, come on, am I gonna die? Because no, even fear, even death is an illusion, you know. So even if we're gonna go back to this COVID or this mask wearing or this thing, to me is like, I'm not even fearful for any of it. It's just you're in a different level. Your sovereignty, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, you're in a whole different ball game, and not everybody's gonna be able to meet you there. And you shouldn't lower your frequency. You should push them and assist them and be that space so they can come up. And yeah, once in a blue moon, you could drop, put some seeds, drop some
They
seeds
have to
in
be
there, like,
ready. They have to be.
but they have to be ready.
Yeah, they have to
Yeah,
be ready to
and
hear.
I am so grateful because when my students come, of course, I know that we're creating our own reality. So every time my students come and I see where they are, it's just so funny because I know they're me. So I'm like, okay, so what part of you is me? Why am I showing up? What is it about me that you're showing up? Because you're me and I'm you. So I'm already studying the whole group together. But I know that I can be open and I could be authentic and I could be frank because I know they're ready to receive the teachings.
Yeah.
Because this work that Drunvalo does, I tell you, I'm sorry, but it's not for everybody. It doesn't go, it doesn't not, it's not mainstream. Gaia has it and it has become more popular now because Gaia has been putting, but not everybody knows about this. Drunvalo, it's not like, he's not out there. Drunvalo hasn't been out there in a long time. For years, he is, this is not, it's a mystery school.
Yeah.
It's basically an Egyptian mystery school.
Yeah.
And some of us see it and some of us don't, and it's not for everybody.
I totally agree with what you're saying. I mean, there are some of the tantric Tibetan and Siddha schools of the Indian tradition that
Yes.
speak about these teachings, but it's very esoteric and very, in some cases, it's written in a language that it's not the vernacular. It's not really easy to understand, and in some other places in a dialect. So
Yeah.
I knew I was onto something when I started reading about Merkaba. I was like, oh my God, these are the mandalas of the Tibetans and
Yes.
and the mandalas of the Tantras. And I was like, oh my God, how's that all coming together? Follow me. This guy's like putting all this. I was so psyched to learn all of that. And I've read the friggin' books in Sanskrit and I was trying to translate and I couldn't understand shit. Excuse my language. And then this guy comes around and explains the thing so clearly. It was amazing. It was amazing.
I personally am like, and he even goes deeper than all of this. I mean, like, we could go back into, deeper into all of this, but these teachers have been around. It's just, and that's why it says it's not for everybody. It's not, and then that's
it
why
is
I tell
actually,
people,
I wanna interrupt you and say it is for everybody. They
it is for
just
everybody.
need to want it. And honestly, I think that's where we are going. I mean, humanity needs this openness of mind to start going away from money, 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 money. And oh my God, the COVID, holy cow, what am I doing? Because there's a lot of that out there. I swear to God, there's so much of it. And just look inside.
Inside.
The way out is in.
In.
And
That's
so it's I mean, it's amazing that you are doing this work, and we have literally 5 minutes before you need to escape. So I'm gonna give you this 5 minutes to speak about your website, your next course, when it's gonna be, and give us quickly also about your other offerings on the website.
So at this moment I'm having an ATIH weekend seminar this actually at the end of this month.
And you do it regularly, right? You do it once a month?
I try to do it regularly. I haven't, to be honest, I haven't done it as regular as I wanted to be because I feel like these teachings are so needed, Uh, but I haven't done it as much as I want to do it. But I usually do it every 2 or 3 months now. So I'm doing one in February. I'm doing and then I leave in February, at the end of February, 26th to 25th to the 27th or 28th. And it's in my work. It's in my website. And then
And is your website is
in one heart
in1heart.com.
com.
Okay. All right.
In
Cool.
oneheart.com. And then I do Sedona. I'm leaving to Sedona. I'm taking a group up to Sedona at the end of March, which is beautiful. And then I have Peru scheduled for June 1st to the 10th. So those are the three things that I have in my calendar right now. So it's the ATIH at the end of February, March Sedona, and then Peru in June 1st.
Oh,
And that's what I'm doing. Yeah,
I
it's
could
gonna
jump
be
on a plane, come down there.
yeah. So it's a beautiful journey. Again, it's all about connecting with the spirits of the plants, the air. Peru is beautiful. It's a beautiful journey, and I have so many beautiful people over there that are waiting. I can't wait to go. It's just magical, literally
And
magical.
and so, what other services do you offer?
I do soul coaching, so I do one-on-ones as well, and I do shamanic breath works as well. I do woman empowerment as well.
Want to
So
tell
I
us a
do
little bit more about the shamanic?
shamanic breath work. It's basically teaching you how to connect to the guru within through breath. So it's like holotropic breathing, or like a fire breath, right, in Kundalini. But it's a more intense, way more intense. It's about 3.5 hours, and it actually does heals you emotionally, mentally, physically, because any energies that you have within your body is basically coming out, and you're bringing in new energy in. So it's a cleansing and clearing. So there's always 4 steps to it. It's mental versus like your mind starts talking like this breathing is not gonna work. Really, I'm gonna heal through breath. So then you start feeling the changes in your physical body, and then you start opening up your emotional and spiritual body. It is so funny because I remember the first time I seen people do it, and they just don't really,
Get
they
it?
think they get it, they don't get it, and then at the end they're like, and I'm like, I know. It's like doing an ayahuasca journey, but just through breath,
Yeah, I
So
hear you.
it's amazing. So yeah, so I do a lot of that, coaching, and yeah, and then I'll just be doing different things, helping people here and then, and a lot of woman empowerment classes, which I think is one of the biggest things that we have to learn as women, coming to a power that this divine feminine energy is coming in, and that the future is going to be teaching the young girls about their bodies, and about themselves, and about love, and about connection, and about nurturing, and then about being able to balance the masculine and the feminine energy. It's so important.
It is.
So
Yeah.
so
So many
teaching
women
that.
still live in a space where they think they have to be the men's, as in like literally owned by the men, and being taken care of, and fed, etc., etc. And the whole. I don't want to get
Yeah.
into this one. It's a painful and one that I know a lot of people are working on.
Yeah. So I really feel that, we women need to, and we're doing it, connect with one another and come back to that sacred sisterhood that we had back in ancient times, that we really supported each other, and there was no jealousy or she's better, or, a lot of, there was a division throughout, those last 2 decades about women competing with one another. And I think that every woman is beautiful in their own special way, and connecting, and being supportive of one another. So woman empowerment has been a lot, learning about tantra and sex, and how those energies are important as well, not letting anybody to come into your temple.
Where do you do that? Are you doing
I
anything in Manhattan?
I haven't done one in a long time, since last year, but I do them occasionally. I work with Johnny X, so I have to still set up my calendar. I have so many other things going on with my other businesses, so I have to put more mind into the woman, especially when I'm doing soul coaching and stuff, and I have my individual clients. So that takes time. So right now I'm in a space of like,
Okay. All right. Before we close, I need you to do a little favor for me. Would you
yes.
jump to your left, just 20 centimeters, this much.
Jump?
Okay, all right, good, that's perfect. I kept seeing this blue light over your head, and I was like, am I seeing something, or it's on the picture behind her?
Well, there's nothing blue, but
There-
okay.
That's that there's a little bit of blue flower behind you, and I think I saw that.
Oh, okay, yeah. This one, you mean?
I guess that was it. Yes.
Yeah. So, no, don't worry about it. That happens. But okay, so yeah, so that's about it. In one heart, you could email me, and then I'll add you to my email list. So then every time I'm doing something, you'll get an email. But
Beautiful.
it's beautiful.
Nice.
So thank you for having me. It's a
Thank you.
great interview.
I would probably
Yeah.
call you back again, because there's so much more to touch on, and we can
Yeah,
we can
anything
have
that you want to tune into, like any subjects you want to tune into and converse, there's definitely a time and space, and we could talk about it. And I think a lot of people need to hear it and see, any insights that they can get to make their life better. I'm happy
Exactly.
to share it. Mhm.
Well, thanks a lot, Evelyn. It was a pleasure. Don't want to take any more of your time. I will make sure that all of your data and all your websites and businesses are going to be in the links below. And I'll cut the crazy stuff that I said and I didn't say.
The crazy stuff is good. The crazy
Yeah.
stuff is good. People can relate to craziness.
You have a point.
Really?
You do.
Thank you. No, seriously. Sometimes, sometimes people need to hear it, sometimes raw, because it needs to get through. And I tell people all the time. I have people that in my life, that two of them are perfectionists, and I say, you have to understand that perfection is not always as core.
Expectation. Or
I go, it's actually kind of boring. Who wants perfection? You want somebody sometimes to be, a little bit of their flaws and stuff like that, because people can relate to them better.
Mm.
Because not everybody's perfect. Everybody's perfect in their own crazy way, and it's beautiful.
Yes. All right.
All right. I'll
Thanks
talk
a
to you
lot.
soon.
Have a good afternoon.
You too.
And
I'll
take
talk
care.
to you soon. Yeah.